The room was dark, save for a single guttering candle. A man sat alone, motionless, staring at nothing at all. His hands were clenched, his jaw tight. 2 years of patience, and still nothing to show for it. He had been so certain. Hours earlier, while the farmhouse stood empty, he had let himself in through the back door, moving quickly, methodically, through every room. He searched the bedroom first, tearing through drawers, scattering their contents without care. Then the kitchen, sweeping shelves bare, checking beneath loose floorboards. He searched the hearth, the cellar, every hiding place a careful man might use. He found household ledgers, letters of no consequence, a woman's modest jewelry which he left untouched, nothing that resembled what he was looking for, no pages, no proof, nothing that could protect him. Should this all come apart, he had been so sure Adelaide would have kept something, some piece of insurance tucked away, waiting. He found nothing at all. Adelaide and Marcus sat in their farmhouse by the fire, the half-burned cigarette stub still resting on the table between them. Adelaide's eyes had cleared now, memory crystallizing into certainty. It was Marshal Cole, Adelaide said quietly. The cigarette brand, the same brand the marshal discarded before entering our home. Marcus absorbed the accusation in silence, his jaw tightening. We confront him, Marcus said finally. Tomorrow morning, we go to his office and demand answers. Back in the present, the man exhaled slowly, forcing his hands to unclench. If she did not have it hidden in her home, then perhaps she did not have it at all, which meant the pages were still out there somewhere, waiting for someone else to find them first. He could not allow that. He leaned forward into the candlelight, and for the first time his face came clearly into view. The beard, the long, unkempt hair, the same man who had stood quietly at the back of the church, the same man Adelaide had almost remembered. The next day, Marcus Hargrove and Adelaide Foster entered the marshal's office in town, their faces set with resolve and barely contained anger. Marshal Elijah Cole looked up from his desk, surprise flickering across the marshal's weathered face at the unexpected visit. "You searched our home," Adelaide said without preamble, her voice steady and accusatory. "You ransacked it looking for something." Marshal Cole rose slowly from behind the marshal's wooden desk, the marshal's expression hardening. "I did no such thing," the marshal replied flatly. "If your home was searched, it wasn't by me." But something in the marshal's eyes had shifted, a realization spreading through the marshal's mind like cold water through warm blood. If the marshal hadn't ransacked the Hargrove farmhouse, then someone else had. Someone else was hunting the same torn pages, moving through Hargrove Crossing in desperation, willing to risk discovery. The marshal was no longer hunting alone. Vivienne Ashworth saw them arriving at the marshal's office from across the dusty street. Marcus and Adelaide moving with purpose, their faces tight with anger and determination. Vivienne's hands stilled over the bottles and bandages Vivienne had been organizing at the clinic. They were going to confront the marshal. They had realized something. They were taking action. By that evening, whispers had spread through town. Adelaide and Marcus had visited the marshal's office. They had accused him of ransacking their home. The marshal had denied it. The details were fragmentary, but the implication was clear. Something dangerous was unfolding in Hargrove Crossing. Vivienne sat alone in Vivienne's small rented room, as darkness fell, candles flickering on a wooden desk. Vivienne's hands trembled as Vivienne pulled out paper and pen. "My dear Lord, events in Hargrove Crossing are accelerating beyond my ability to predict or control them. This morning Marcus and Adelaide visited the marshal's office and confronted the marshal directly about the ransacking of their home. I do not know what has transpired between them, but the implication is clear. Someone other than the marshal has been searching for the ledger pages. The pages remain missing. The danger escalates. I fear the town is becoming a battleground for forces I do not fully understand. My position as their trusted confidante is becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. Suspicion is growing. Trust is eroding. What are your instructions? How should I proceed? Vivienne. Vivienne sealed the letter with shaking hands, knowing the Lord would receive it by morning through channels. Vivienne had learned never to question. For the first time, Vivienne wondered if Vivienne's mission in Hargrove Crossing had become more dangerous than Vivienne had ever anticipated. Marshal Elijah Cole returned to the Hargrove farmhouse alone, moving through each room with methodical precision. The marshal examined the pattern of the search. Drawers opened but not ransacked violently, shelves disturbed but items placed aside rather than scattered carelessly. This was a targeted search, conducted by someone who knew what the person was looking for, and where such things might be hidden. The marshal found cigarette ash near the hearth, the same brand the marshal himself carried. A deliberate calling card, perhaps, or a warning. Cole collected the evidence carefully. The ash, a torn piece of fabric snagged on a doorframe, marks on the wooden floorboard suggesting the furniture had been moved and examined underneath. Later that afternoon, as Cole prepared to leave the farmhouse, the marshal found Marcus and Adelaide sitting in their damaged living room, staring at nothing. "You're in danger," Cole said flatly. "Someone other than me was in this house. Someone desperate. Someone who will come back if they believe the pages are still here." "What do you suggest?" Adelaide asked quietly. "Leave," Cole said. "Go to stay with family, at least, until I know more." Marcus and Adelaide exchanged a glance, but neither moved. As Marshal Cole turned to depart the farmhouse, the marshal noticed a figure approaching on the path. A woman in a thin black dress, auburn hair loose around a beautiful face. Vivienne Ashworth. The marshal watched Vivienne approach, noting the timing, noting the woman's elegant posture, noting the way Vivienne seemed to know exactly when the marshal would be leaving. Cole's mind sharpened with new suspicion. Vivienne Ashworth met Marshal Elijah Cole at the farmhouse doorway. The two figures paused, recognition flickering between them. "Dr. Whitlock sent me to check on Adelaide," Vivienne said smoothly, offering a practiced smile. The doctor was concerned about Adelaide's recent complaints. "Adelaide is fine," Marshal Cole replied flatly, moving past Vivienne without warmth. Marcus and Adelaide sat in the main room, silent and tense. Neither spoke as Vivienne entered. "What has happened?" Vivienne asked, genuine concern coloring Vivienne's voice. "Someone searched our home," Adelaide said quietly, not looking at Vivienne, "while we were in town." "Do you know who?" Vivienne pressed, trying to gather more information. "Do you know what they were looking for?" Marcus and Adelaide exchanged a glance but offered no real answer. The silence stretched between all three figures. "Perhaps you should rest," Vivienne offered. "No," Marcus said suddenly, his voice carrying an edge Vivienne had never heard before. "We need to be alone. Please leave." The words struck Vivienne like a physical blow. Vivienne's carefully constructed warmth faltered for just a moment before Vivienne recovered, offering an understanding smile Vivienne did not feel. "Of course," Vivienne said softly, "but send for me if Adelaide needs anything." As Vivienne walked back toward town, Vivienne's mind raced with terrible possibilities. Marshal Elijah Cole visited the clinic the following morning with deliberate purpose. Vivienne Ashworth looked up from organizing medical supplies as the marshal entered, and Vivienne's practiced warmth bloomed immediately. A smile, a tilt of the head, the subtle adjustment to Vivienne's posture that made Vivienne's elegant figure more visible. "Marshal Cole," Vivienne said softly. "Is everything well?" "A routine check," Cole said flatly, settling into a wooden chair. "Nothing serious." But as Vivienne attended to the marshal with careful efficiency, Cole began asking questions. Simple questions, but questions nonetheless. "How long have you known Marcus and Adelaide Hargrove?" "Since I arrived in Hargrove Crossing," Vivienne replied, her hands moving with practiced grace as Vivienne examined the marshal's chest. "And you visit them often?" "Adelaide has required medical attention," Vivienne said carefully. Cole watched Vivienne work, and Vivienne felt the weight of that watching. Vivienne moved closer, allowing the marshal to observe Vivienne's striking features in the afternoon light. "You seem invested in the Hargroves," Cole said quietly. More than a doctor's assistant would typically be. I care about all my patients, Vivienne replied, meeting the marshal's eyes with practiced sincerity. That evening, as Vivienne prepared to leave the clinic, Vivienne found an envelope slipped under Vivienne's door. Another note, the same script as before. Meet me at the graveyard, midnight. Vivienne's hands trembled as Vivienne opened the note. Midnight found Vivienne Ashworth standing alone in the graveyard, surrounded by weathered headstones and darkness. A figure emerged from the shadows between the stones. A man with long, unkempt dark hair, a heavy beard. The man's hand moved to his face. With deliberate slowness, the man pulled back the beard, revealing sharp features Vivienne recognized from town. The stranger who had appeared in Hargrove Crossing, the man Adelaide had almost remembered. Vivienne's breath caught. I need the ledger pages, the man said coldly. You were supposed to find them. The marshal, the man repeated, his expression darkening. What does the marshal know? Then spoke with absolute certainty. The pages weren't in that house. I searched it thoroughly, which means Adelaide kept them somewhere else, somewhere she considers truly safe. Vivienne understood then. Ashcombe, Elias's estate. The man confirmed. The pages must still be at Ashcombe. What happens now? Vivienne asked quietly. We go to Ashcombe, the man said, and we find what everyone else is hunting for. Evening found Marcus and Adelaide sitting outside their farmhouse, the weight of recent days pressing down on both figures like a physical force. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the Virginia farmland. Neither Marcus nor Adelaide spoke. The silence between them was no longer comfortable. It was thick with fear, uncertainty, and the burden of secrets neither could fully articulate. We cannot stay here, Adelaide said finally, breaking the silence. No, Marcus agreed. We cannot. Adelaide turned to face Marcus, and Marcus could see the resolve hardening in Adelaide's beautiful features. Adelaide had moved past fear into something sharper, determination. The pages, Adelaide said. Elias kept them somewhere. Somewhere Elias thought was truly safe. Somewhere Elias would hide something that mattered. Ashcombe, Marcus said. Ashcombe, Adelaide confirmed. A private room where Elias kept personal documents, business ledgers, things Elias wanted no one to see. Marcus understood immediately what Adelaide was suggesting. We go to Ashcombe, Adelaide said with absolute certainty. We search Elias's study ourselves. We find the pages, and then we take them to the marshal. We end this. Marcus reached for Adelaide's hand, and Adelaide held it firmly. Tomorrow morning, Marcus said. We take the horse cart and we go to Ashcombe. We settle this ourselves. Adelaide nodded, squeezing Marcus's hand. For the first time in days, both Marcus and Adelaide felt something other than fear. They felt agency, purpose, and the quiet determination of two people who had decided to stop running and start fighting. Tomorrow, they would have answers. Morning arrived with dual purpose. Vivienne Ashworth and the stranger rode toward Ashcombe on horseback, moving with speed that only mounted riders could achieve. Behind them, unaware of the race unfolding, Marcus and Adelaide prepared their horse cart for the same journey. Marcus Hargrove hitched the horses to the wooden cart with deliberate care. Adelaide Foster helped gather provisions, water, a lantern, rope. Both moved with quiet determination. We leave now, Marcus said. Now, Adelaide confirmed. The horse cart lurched forward down the dirt road, Marcus holding the reins steady while Adelaide sat beside Marcus, watching the countryside pass. The journey would take hours. Meanwhile, Vivienne and the stranger arrived at Ashcombe Estate well before midday, their horses arriving at the grand mansion while Marcus and Adelaide were still miles away on the slower cart. We split up, the stranger said flatly. Find the study, find the pages. Vivienne nodded, and they separated, disappearing into different sections of the sprawling estate. Hours later, as afternoon light began its descent, Vivienne entered Elias Bramwell's mahogany-lined study on the second floor. Vivienne opened drawer after drawer methodically. Inside one drawer, beneath old correspondence, Vivienne found a leather-bound diary with Elias Bramwell embossed on the cover. Vivienne opened the journal with trembling hands. Entry after entry revealed Elias's handwriting, precise and cold. Vivienne read about Adelaide, the arranged marriage, why Elias had chosen Adelaide specifically. But deeper in the diary, Vivienne found something that stopped Vivienne's breath. Passages about her own father. Vivienne's beautiful face showed shock spreading across every feature, as Vivienne understood the full scope of what Vivienne's father had sent Vivienne to conceal. Outside on the Virginia road, Marcus held the reins steady while Adelaide watched the landscape pass. They were still hours away from Ashcombe, unaware that the mystery they sought to unravel was being uncovered without them. The horse cart continued slowly forward, carrying them toward a revelation they would not reach in time to control. Vivienne is holding a diary that just changed everything. What do you think she read? What could shock her that deeply? And Marcus and Adelaide are still on their way to Ashcombe, with no idea what's waiting for them when they arrive. Drop your theories in the comments. We might feature the best ones in episode 5. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.